This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hey there, it's Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more. You know what? I look forward to this show. We've been having this show scheduled for a long time. I'm not even going to say anything, but I am going to say this. This is the first time on movie reviews and more. We've had so many Black people in one place, and I'm honored. So I'm going to leave it to this. I'm going to step up a little bit. I'm going to let David Vonner take over tonight because there's so many people on. This is going to be exciting. All right, David, take it away. I'm stepping out, and I can't wait to get this going. Take it away.
Thank you, Brian. Look at that. I'm hosting. I didn't know, brother. Cut me my check. You know how it is when we Black people get up in here. We want our money. So happy to host tonight. I mean, we're doing it so big. We got too many people up in here. We got the Black Inventors got game group. I mean, I'm so happy and honored to bring them all on board, and it's an honor just to bring everyone and to share with the group. So thank you, Brian, for having us all.
Yeah.
All right, we got everybody coming in. Hey. How's everyone doing?
What's good?
Just go around real fast and just bring everyone up to date. Hi, everyone. We got Albert White. We got Nicole Murphy, Lamont Morris. We have Joseph Jones, Eddie Elliott, the great Dr. Lonnie Johnson, and James Howard. He put this entire thing together. Thank you so much for having us all on board.
Yeah.
Okay, Lonnie, I want you to go first.
Uh-oh.
Take it away. Tell us who you are and why this is relevant.
Well, yeah, if I understood your question correctly, because it's a little bit distorted on this end, unfortunately. I'm an inventor. Most people know me for inventing the Super Soaker water gun. I've been accused of being a rocket scientist. I've worked on out-of-planetary spacecraft, Galileo, Voyager, the Cassini mission to Saturn. And even while active duty in the military, was flight test engineer on the B-2 bomber, the Stealth. So I've got a broad engineering background, but I spend all of my time inventing right now. In fact, I have over 140 patents, and I'm now launching energy technology companies, advanced battery technology, and I've invented a new engine that converts heat into electricity directly without any mechanical moving parts.
Now that's definitely impressive. Hi everyone, I'm Natasha. I'm Brian's co-host from Miami, so nice to meet everyone here. I was reading all of your bios and everything you guys done, and I feel like such an amateur here. Like, I feel honored being in the same, interview as all of you guys. And Dr. Johnson, I gotta say that Super Soaker water gun, that brought my attention. Like, is this like a regular water gun, or is it like shh, like?
We did change the game. We took water guns to a whole new level, and it became a very big hit. In fact, it was the #1 selling toy in the world at one point.
Beautiful. So who is? Let's go with Nicole Murphy. Tell us who you are, what you're doing, how's your Tuesday been?
She's muted.
You're on mute.
You're mute, Nicole.
There we go. I got it. I am Nicole Murphy. I'm the founder and CEO of Barter Black, which is a platform and community that influences the equity of relationships among Black entrepreneurs and startup founders. And the purpose of the platform is for Black entrepreneurs to leverage their experience and expertise through mutually beneficial barter relationships. So my goal is to make sure that Black-owned businesses are scaling past solopreneurship into employer-owned firms, because right now we only account for 2.3% of employer-owned firms. And there's definitely something wrong with that number, and I'm here to make a change.
Nice. So, can we just jump to James Howard real fast? Because James really put this entire endeavor together. So, I mean, he has to give a whole overview of what this is all about and where we want to go. So, James, can you just speak to that?
No problem, Brother David. And welcome aboard, brothers and sisters. For those who aren't in the know, this all started in December of 2020. And I'd come into contact with all 4 of these amazing inventors, all within a 30-day period. The following month, I had decided to write an article. And that article was, in fact, titled Black Inventors Got Game. And I placed it on my new website, which no one knew anything about, so it would hardly get viewed at all. But it did not take long for me to realize that this story was bigger than just sitting on a website that no one knew anything about. So I had a talk with my publicist. Next thing you know, I'm calling all the brothers to see if they would be interested in doing a movie or a documentary film. They were all on board. And 2 months later, we were doing talking heads and childhood reenactments. So it has been an absolutely amazing journey. It started with just 4 of us, and now it has morphed to 14 of us, brothers and sisters, into this amazing space of the toy and game industry, doing remarkable things.
Yeah, it was a definite journey, and again, an honor to be involved with, and it was very cool to meet individuals like Elliott Eddie, who has his remarkable game on entrepreneurship. Like Eddie, man, like how did you even come up with that, man?
Man, it's crazy. I was doing a group of workshops in the local library, entrepreneur workshop for children, anywhere from age 8 to 18. One day I'm going around the room and I'm asking the kids, well, what kind of business would you like to open? One young man, he was 14 years old. He said, I can't open a business. You have to be special to open a business, and I'm not special. And that's where it started right there. That young boy didn't realize what he had inherent. He wasn't seeing proprietors around him. He wasn't seeing himself as a producer, just as a consumer. So I wanted to change the mind. I tried to figure out how to do it. And I remember board games. Like, I was the Monopoly champ of the world. I don't think I've ever lost a game since 1978. No, I lost one game.
Yo, that's a big title to have, man. That's a big title.
Yeah.
That sounds like a challenge to me, David.
Yeah, but that's where it was. You see a need, and you fill it. You find value, and you try to provide that to everybody, and that's what the entrepreneurship game is about.
That's dope. That's really, really cool. And you just brought up Monopoly. You being the Monopoly champ, you definitely got something to prove with that. And my brother Lamont, he definitely knows a thing or two about Monopoly. He was there at Hasbro, and he worked on stuff like the Easy Bake Oven, redeveloped it, redesigned it, and everything. So Lamont, man, how about that? Like, talk about your endeavors with that.
Well, Lamont will be back shortly. Wait, Elliott, were you the champion, the Monopoly champion? Or you're just saying because you have won every single game? I'm like, are you on the Guinness World Record?
Yeah, my championship is definitely regional.
Okay.
Well, there is an actual
You got the game face.
championship, but then COVID hit. So yeah, that's so it is regional. COVID hit, so I didn't get to go to the Olympics. They actually do have an Olympics of the Monopoly game. So they the world got lucky that time. Wait till they come back.
Lamont, are you there? You look a little frozen there. Are you on? Are we live with Lamont?
He's serious.
I know he got that. He's contemplating.
Well, we got until Lamont unfreezes. I want to make this clear about what your audience is looking at right now. You're looking at African Americans who have made groundbreaking contributions to the toy and game industry across the board, heretofore unknown. You'd be surprised how many people, even to this day, still don't even aware that Dr. Johnson designed and engineered and patented the Super Soaker. So this is a story about telling their stories of these amazing accomplishments that have not been told. And I know Brother Al can speak to that adroitly because he was one of the ones that encouraged me to even do this film from day one.
Yeah, I'm a little different than some of the other participants because I'm not an inventor, but I participated in the launch of the greatest network technology we have in our lifetime. That's the internet. And a lot of people did not know that it was an African-American firm that launched the internet in 1993. And today, the internet is 5.2 billion users on a daily basis. And in the very beginning of the internet, which we can read in my book, Race for the Net, when African Americans controlled the internet, from 1992 to 1995, the internet was controlled by a company called Network Solutions, which you've heard of before because they give internet addresses. But a lot of people did not know that Network Solutions was originally founded by African Americans. And so for me, I was the head of marketing, and I was the person that was tasked to tell people and show people what the internet could do back in 1993, which was an enormous job. And, a lot of things you see today, I never even envisioned. But the internet, when we look back in time, will be considered the groundbreaking technology that's changed the world, society. And just think about it. Where would we be during the pandemic if it wasn't for the internet? And so that's why I'm part of this illustrious group of inventors to talk about technology and to talk about how the internet has changed the world and how the African American community has participated in that.
And Al is also being very modest because he's the one that put me in touch with Dr. Lonnie Johnson. And that's his connection to the storyline. So Al, tell him how you're connected with Dr. Lonnie Johnson in the Super Soaker story.
So Lonnie and I have been together for about 21 years now. And we were introduced back in, I guess it's in 2000. And I had been working with him on identifying capital and identifying partners for him over that period of time. And that's how I got started with him. And I lived in Atlanta for 4 years while I was running one of his energy companies. And we've been great friends. And he was one of my biggest supporters in getting me to write the book, because he said, without you writing the book, no one would know the history of the internet. My book is the only book that's been written about the complete story of the internet. There's no other story out there about the internet. It's almost like Hidden Figures. It's a story that no one knew about. And today it's ranked at one of the top technology books on Amazon. If you want to buy it, you'll see my email address is raceforthenet.com, and you can purchase the book that way.
You're on mute, David.
David.
That's super dope. I was just saying, we got to hear the smooth sounds of Joseph Jones. I mean, the brother, he's narrating, like, I believe he's doing all the narration in the documentary, and you know, he's done a lot of voice work and everything, and we don't get to meet a lot of brothers who do a lot of voiceover work. So it's a pleasure and an honor to have him on board too.
Oh, thank you guys. No, it was an honor to be able to work with all you talented brothers. I literally felt like I had a front row seat to one of the best movies and history lessons I could ever have. So I didn't know who Lonnie Johnson was until you know, I became a part of this project. And you know, it's like I said, it was just an honor to be able to narrate this wonderful story that is, you know, touching a lot of people.
I'm gonna step in for a minute really quickly. I wanted to know, because this is interesting. A lot of people don't know about you guys. And again, if it weren't for David, I wouldn't have known about him through his friend Digger. So, but talk about the Easy Bake Oven, because that was a hit back then. And then go back to, where is this documentary on the Race for the Net? Because as the movie whore, I need to know.
Lamont, are you with us, brother? I think Lamont's still frozen.
Bro, he's
man.
frozen. He's frozen. So let me go to the internet, because in the early days of the internet, there was a lot of discussions about how we share the internet with the world. And one of the questions, like the question I got in most of the times I was doing my research was, how did Al Gore do? Was he the guy that invented the internet? And I've always had to answer those questions. He wasn't, but he was critical to it. But the interesting thing was, in 1992, the National Science Foundation was looking for a company to basically distribute internet addresses around the world. And there was no other company that had done this before but Network Solutions, which was an African-American firm. So for a number of years, a lot of people didn't even know that Network Solutions was an African-American owned company. And the years following that, we struggled in trying to keep the internet going. And then eventually the owners of Network Solutions sold the company. And that's kind of where the story ends, but it begins, because we talk about legacy and we talk about the families of Emmett McHenry and Ty Grisby and the other members of that management team and owners all went on to be successful business people. But this is a story that I always get the question is, how did the African American community just let the internet go? How could you just not have the capability of holding on to the internet? Today, and I mentioned the 5.2 billion, but there's about $25 trillion being generated by the internet every day. And if you look at your life and you look at society, there is no area that the internet doesn't touch today. And it will for a number of years. You go back to dating, you go back to just the malls, and you go back to just meeting friends. I met my nephew after 57 years due to the internet and Ancestry.com. And he said he went on the internet, Ancestry.com, and he found my brother, and we linked up. And I was just so pleased that I was involved with the technology that brought my nephew into our family.
See, I think that is great. Hey, Rachel, are you there?
I'm here.
Tell them who you are. I need to hear. Were you?
I can't hear you though. I'll jump in. So I can't hear you, Brian, but I'm just going to say, this is Rachel Roberts. I'm in Houston, Texas. And so I'm a home chef, and I'm a co-host with Brian for Movie More. And I'm trying to sit back and hear everybody, but the sound kind of is coming in and out. And I'm also trying not to make the cocktail that I made tonight. And I'm having a really hard time doing that because it looks really good. It's, I think, gin and tonic, but it's a Bramble gin and tonic, which is raspberry gin and tonic. And I made tonight pasta bolognese, which is spaghetti with meat sauce because this is my
fabulous.
teenager's birthday. So there we go.
Now, Rachel, I was already hungry, but now I'm really hungry.
Delicious for sure. Absolutely. I know, Rachel, you had a question about the Easy Bake Oven, and if Lamont's not on, I'm gonna take an opportunity to sort of tell you that story. Lamont is actually the designer of the second version of Easy Bake Oven. The one that I grew up on back in the early 60s and late 50s was the one that operated with a light bulb. Lamont changed that technology many years later.
Yes.
So the present day Easy Bake Oven happens to be what's called the real mill oven. And this is the one that Lamont had designed. It has a patent on for Hasbro toys, which is where he had honed his skill for more than 15 years or more with Hasbro. Again, another one of these brothers who were oftentimes the only one at the table, right? What I call the Labatt syndrome, the lone black at the table. And another brother who's part of this story is Mason Williams from Mattel. And he too talks about in the movie how he too got into rooms where he was the only brother at the table. So this is a story really that has been untold, that needs to be told, about the inroads that we have been able to make into an industry that heretofore has somewhat ignored the African Americans' contributions. So that's pretty much what Lamont had brought to the table, no pun intended, with his real
That's incredible. I remember those. It takes like 2 hours to make a cookie or something, right? Because you're doing it with a light bulb. You wait.
Right. Forever and a day. And you know what's so interesting? If I can just interject, again, with 6 guys, and I soon realized that something was missing in the equation. So Nicole came aboard with her invention of Barter Black. Then we brought on Helen Harris of a Jotted Down board game. And then we brought on Adrian Smith of Blitz Chimps, a football card game. And she's the face of football. You're going to meet them next week. So now this story has been joined by both men and women. And we're going to continue this storyline. And in 2 weeks, we're going to be in Long Beach, California, in a similar panel discussion similar to this, live at the ASTRA convention. And ASTRA is the American Specialty Toy and Retail Association, having this same discussion on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion within the toy and game industry.
And this is really important because we got to go to David Bonner next. All right, David, tell us who you are, because I know who you are. Tell everybody who might not know who you are. Go ahead, go for it.
I'm James Howard. I'm a serial entrepreneur myself. I've designed over 400 products in my lifetime. At one time, I owned and operated the largest dollar-making industrial design firm in the entire country. Some of my clients included the likes of Coca-Cola, Colgate, and the CIA. And I'm not referring to the Culinary Institute of America. And it's just been a life fulfilled. And I'm also an inventor. I have about 20 patents. And I'm enjoying right now this second wave of life, which is in filmmaking. And I'm just really motivated to complete this film. And it's intended to be ready for release, the full feature-length documentary, somewhere in late October, mid-November. Black Inventors Got Game.
Can't wait for that. All right, David, take it away, Bonner.
Well, I'm Dave Vonner. I'm a toy designer, and I've been in the game for over 25 years now. Worked at Spencer Gifts, where I actually have a patent for Human Lamp and Hasbro, Mattel, Toy Biz. You name it, I've been there. And I just really love not only pop culture, but being a conduit for pop culture and a conduit for people to get into pop culture. It's very cool to meet and run into people who are inventors and have that mind, but a lot of times they really don't know how to get their foot into the door or the proper channels to even get their product made. So by me having the proper, knowledge and insight and resources to help individuals do that, now I feel like my role is to be that conduit, that individual that can help, people seek their vision, make that idea come into fruition, and just make that dream come true. So and it's a very, knowledge is power, and a lot of people lack the information to get there. And so I'm honored and humbled to be in a position where I can give that information to show people the way to, make their dreams come true.
Nicole, what's the toughest thing about what you've done? Talk about that and why. And your volume's off.
What was the question?
What's the toughest thing about starting Barter Black that you've experienced and why?
Ooh, I would say, well, I would say the toughest thing is learning the process, only because before Barter Black, I had a short-term property management company in the DC area where we manage and clean Airbnb properties. So I'm a non-technical tech founder. So I'm having to learn fast and build my network and my community around me. And I'm super excited about the process and everything that's coming next.
So when it comes to voiceovers, I love anything voiceover. I remember I've been the only one in the room doing voiceovers too, so I understand that. Talk about that. Why this is important, because everybody listens to him, but not everybody still knows everything that goes beyond that, and it's very, very important. Think of James Earl Jones. I think of Mace Meatball. I think of all those people that came before us who were really, really good. Talk about that. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. Is it me or?
Yeah, Joseph. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry about that. I think it's very important to be able to tell people's stories. To be able to translate someone's story so that the audience can follow along, so you can touch the audience as well. It's really funny how the industry has really changed. How it used to be, you had to have that deep James Earl Jones voice, and it's really gone from that to now. Can you have a conversation? Can you get on the mic and sound like you're having a conversation? And when it comes to documentaries and like what we did for this project, it's, can you carry the story? Can you bring people in and basically help them to experience what is being played on the screen? And so I think that's very important, because you don't want your audience to get bored. You want them to basically really feel like they're a part of the story. You want to touch them.
And Stephanie Harris, yes, doing voiceovers, I suggest you reach out to anybody. So Don LaFontaine was the most famous voiceover person. If anybody didn't know who he was a good friend of mine. His wife happened to be black, so he really liked me. He was so good that he had a limousine driver for every you guys who don't know that. He would do 30 voiceover gigs. One take Don is what they call them. Every iconic movie trailer that you ever saw, that was him. That was the voice. I learned so much from him. And again, it's an honor to meet all you guys here and the women here too. So again, David, talk about this. You were just on a panel. Talk about what you were talking about, Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, as some of you may know, I was in the docuseries "The Toys That Made Us" that is currently on Netflix, and one of the episodes was revolving around Star Wars. So basically, it was a celebration about the episode, and just how Star Wars impacted our lives, in various ways. We kind of walked into the theater, just wanting to watch a movie, and then came out like really inspired. And like particularly for me and a lot of people, it was very empowering to hear James Earl Jones's voice as Darth Vader. Like, my mom was a big Darth Vader fan. She still loves Darth Vader. She loves Yoda. She quotes Star Wars all the time. But it was, for, to have this striking figure, just, being powerful and everything was really impactful just in pop culture. But just in general, how just the mythos of Star Wars and everything around it just really just touched and impacted so many different people, so many different generations. And it really is a universal tale of a hero's journey and so many other journeys, friendships and everything else. So it was really just a discussion about that, and it's always fun to be able to talk and express about that, and from our perspective.
So when it comes to this whole panel, you're finding this fascinating. Talk about what you find out so far. Who's interesting to you? If you had to pick somebody, I'm putting everybody on the spot.
Well, I'm going to speak right now and say that what intrigued me most was my ability to get Brother Dr. Lonnie Johnson on board with this project. He is, in fact, one of the trailblazers that we all look up to. So I'd like to turn the mic over to him because he has contributed so mightily to my short film series, to this, to The Gathering, in every aspect. So, Dr. Johnson, can we hear what inspires you? What keeps you in this game?
It's funny. I was just sitting here thinking, listening to David talk about Star Wars and lamenting about how much I enjoy watching sci-fi movies and wanting to see things on TV and have those things become real. And that in itself is inspiring, what we imagine in our minds. And we're at some point fortunate when we're able to make those things that are imaginations become reality. And that's really, really cool. So I will say that sci-fi inspires me big time. In fact, when I was in high school, watching Lost in Space and the robot on Lost in Space, Robbie the robot, the monsters from the It robot, I really got excited about that, and I decided I wanted to have my own robot. So I started building a robot, and it took me over a year to build him. And this was back in the 60s. I graduated in 68. And my robot, I was able to put him in a science fair at the University of Alabama in 1968. Now, this was just a few years after Governor Wallace had stood in the door and said no blacks would attend that university. My robot won first place. He was fully remote controlled. He had an antenna. I could transmit signals to him, and was able to decode those signals and actuate his arms just about anywhere a human could move his arms, or their arms. I had a joint for every joint that a human being had in its arm. So I could control him to do stuff. And just recently, I was talking to, I'm involved in a high school robotics program now because of the way that inspired me and getting kids interested in technology. And one of the kids asked me, he says, Dr. Johnson, what software did you use for your robot? And I had not thought about it up to that point. But in fact, back then, when I was building my robot, software didn't exist. There was no software. It was all mechanical switches and relays for decoding my signals. So it makes a statement about how far technology has come, but it also makes a statement about, the power of the human brain, our ability to imagine things and then make those things that we imagine become reality. I built the robot because no one told me that the robots I was watching on TV had people inside. So I had this vision of building a robot, and it became reality.
Hey, Tosh, you there?
Yes, I am back. I had to switch laptops. I'm sorry about that. I feel like I missed the whole thing.
I got to ask this question, and then you can ask after this. All right, Dr. Johnson, I was stuck once you said built a robot in Alabama. My mouth dropped. It's like I forgot everything else you said. I mean, I don't even know how you did that, and you got it. I'm like speaking. You got to go back into that because that was not easy, and you beat everybody, right?
Give me 1 second.
It's Brian, when you say that, it's kind of like the obstacles that we had to face past the obstacles that's already there. That's what makes this whole journey amazing.
This is the robot.
The robot.
Wow.
Did you name it?
Before R2.
Lonix. my alter ego. This is
That
in
is
house
awesome.
1968. So what looks like eyes is actually a reel-to-reel tape recorder. The digital technology didn't exist back then. It was all analog signals. Some of you may remember the beeps and blurps that you would hear when you would dial a telephone. Well, those were analog signals. So I used tones, beeps and burps to transmit signals to the robot and command him to do things. So as you can see, his arms were all pneumatic air cylinders so he had joints to move with his arms in a way a human could.
It looks like a droid from Star Wars, before Star Wars.
That's an interesting comment. I hadn't heard that one before. But yeah, that was me in high school. So I've been interested in science and technology for a long time.
I think Lamont is back, right? Lamont, you there? Oh, he's frozen again, unfortunately. All right, Josh, go ahead. Question was yours next. Go ahead.
Yes. So, I had a question for Joseph. I want to know a little bit more about voiceovers. Like, if somebody who's trying to get into voiceovers, is it important to take acting classes first, or how was it for you to get into the voiceover industry?
Well, my role was interesting. I actually started out with acting. I love both being in front of the camera and behind the mic. So I moved from Indianapolis to San Francisco, and I took a 2-year Meisner technique course through with Jim Jarrett and Melissa Thompson. Best teachers I ever could have had. Jim Jarrett himself was actually a direct descendant from Sandy Meisner. He trained under the late, great Sandy Meisner before Sandy passed away. And so a lot of the principles that you can take from acting classes, you can actually incorporate with voiceover, because when I started taking voiceover classes, I found out there were a lot of similarities. It's really the only difference is you're acting with your voice, and even though you're not in front of the camera, the terminology is still the same. The principles are still the same. And so anybody that wants to get started with it, first I would decide what aspect of it you would like to do. You can do radio, you can do narration, you can do cartoon characters, movie trailers, just like Don LaFontaine. I'm a huge fan of Mr. LaFontaine as well. So it's really about what aspect of it you want to do. And some people are good at being a one-trick pony, and they master that one trick and have made a lot of money with it, where there's others who they got a lot of tools in the shed. So it's really a matter of what you want to do, what you're passionate about. And for me, I like, and this is why I feel so blessed to be a part of this project. I like working on projects that inspire people, and that's just my thing. So that's what I would say.
Lamont Morris, did you get back? Did we get him again? Did we lose him? We lost him. Talk about what's relevant. How do you get people involved in what you're doing? That's for Albert White.
Oh, it's interesting, and James will concur with this. I received the highest ratings ever for HBCU Network when they broadcasted one of my interviews. And what they said is that the students were so interested in knowing all the things about the internet and how it basically impacted their lives. So a lot of people don't know that the major users in the social media area are African Americans. And in fact, TikTok has 29% of the market with the African American community. So we have been involved in the technology for a number of years, but we haven't owned enough of the technology. So what has happened over time is a lot of young people seeing the success of a number of the people in the film, as well as others they see in magazines and read about, are getting more involved in technology. People trying to figure out a way of replacing Facebook with a new platform. Within the internet space, the big thing now everybody's talking about is metaverse, and which they say will basically take over for the internet. I doubt that. So I think it's going to be a while before you're going to have a platform that can take over for the internet. But most of the things I do today, like most of the people on that are on the show today, is we give advice to young people. We're talking to young people about how they can go and do things they never thought they could do. We never thought that it would be an African-American company that would manage the internet in the very beginning. We just knew that we were good and that we had the capabilities of doing some extraordinary things. We were in the receiving of the contract to manage the internet. The federal government put out a RFP, a request for proposal, and we were the only bidders. And the reason we were the only bidders is we were the only ones that had the experience in developing a platform that could distribute internet addresses. And that was like an incredible discovery later. And when I wrote the book, a lot of people just said, whoa, that's really, really something to achieve as we look at the internet and the way it's growing today.
You know what? Man, that's fascinating. I'm not surprised at that, because I remember people were calling it the Wild Wild West or the Wild Wild Web. Remember that? Anybody remember that?
Well, it was the information superhighway. You remember that? You know, everybody was saying in the late 80s, you know, they had Brian Gumbo on the Today Show talking about, well, what is the internet? And if you get a chance to go listen to that link, you'll hear that everybody was confused in the late 80s of what the internet could be until the late 90s. But today, you know, there's no refuting the power of the internet and how it's changed society around the world, especially in developing countries. A lot of people don't realize in developing countries where they had no access for education outside of their towns or villages, the internet brought them education and brought them knowledge that they never had before. And so one of the things I'm trying to do is there's some film people on this network today. So I'm trying to do a documentary on the greatness and the power of the internet and talk about how we got to where we are today.
Rachel, are you there?
You know, Al, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm there.
You know, one of the things I'd like to encourage you to do, and I think we should probably discuss as part of this forum, you know, the issue of wealth and being able to raise money and maintain capital and keep control. We're getting better at it, but in negotiating the sale, you know, and now that we understand more and we can get this out, but you know, it would have made a huge difference if the sale had included a clause that had some royalty or it retained some percentage ownership and not total turn over the entire stock. You know, it could have been very different if we had that level of sophistication within the community.
Yeah, I totally agree, and
so I think that's why it's important to have these kind of conversations and get people to understand what's possible in negotiating deals. You don't have to just turn over everything and release everything. You can maintain a clawback, if you will, or a hook that you connect exactly to the future success. This is why when I did the water gun, I entered a royalty contract so that I would get paid based on sales. I didn't, you know, the idea of selling the patents outright was a possibility, but I chose, you know, if this thing is going to be successful, I want to go for the ride. If it fails, then, you know, I'll fail and I'll try something different. But I didn't want to just totally let go of it because there was no way of realizing or predicting how successful it would become.
Mm-hmm. All right, Dr. Lonnie Johnson, give your social media links on how people can reach out to you.
I put a couple of posts up for my website. Unfortunately, I don't. I wish I could spend more time working with inventors and others and helping them. There is one young man I will mention. He invented, the doorbell with the camera that you can see on your cell phone. Well, that was invented by a black man, a brother who contacted me. He has the patents and everything. In fact, he has 2 patents on the technology that he issued, and now he's reaching out to companies to try and get the royalties that he's entitled to. When I first talked to him, I was just dumbfounded that he had come up with this idea, and I asked him how he had come up with it. In fact, what I found out was that he was blind, and that was even more dumbfounded. How would you come up with an idea for a video camera if you're blind? And it turns out that he had someone had come to his door. He opened the door, answered the door, not knowing who it was, and got shot in the face. And that's how he became blind. But he has his patent, and I'm helping him pursue the royalties that he's entitled to. So if you have an idea, patents are one thing, but the other end of the spectrum where Brother Al is copywriting. Right. He has a copyright. Copyrights are better than patents in some ways because copyrights are forever, whereas patents expire after about 20 years.
Right. The point that Lonnie brings up is an excellent point. One of the sad stories in my book is the fact that the African-American owners of Network Solutions sold the company in 1995 for less than $5 million. And the year 2000, during the dot-com boom, the company sold for $21 billion. And since that time, it's been sold 4 or 5 times in excess of that. It went public after we sold it. And it was hard for me to talk about that, but I think there's a learning lesson for our community as it relates to what Lonnie just said. If you have something and somebody's buying it from you, at least hold on to a percentage of it, because if they had held on to a percentage, even 10%, it would have been, $221 million that they would have had in their own pocket, but they had no equity in Network Solutions at the time it was sold. And that's the thing that we go through many times. But I think within the entertainment industry and a lot of other industries, we've learned now how to make money in other industries and turn that into a gold mine. And that's why we have a number of entertainers and a lot of business people who are in the $1 billion roundtable now. They basically have been able to leverage a lot of the things they've done commercially and done other things with it. They're fighting over now who's going to own the Denver Broncos. And it's a fight between 3 African-American groups trying to buy the team. So I think what James did with this film is open up the doors for a lot of discussions about the potential of African-Americans and other minorities in the business community. And I think a lot of young people out there that went through the whole period of the pandemic was sitting at home thinking about what should I be doing. But there were a lot of kids out there who were sitting at home trying to figure out what they could develop that could be marketable. And that's why we see this large number of African-American young people out there who have developed websites and social media platforms and are now making enough money to support their families. And we just need more of that information out there to people.
Mm-hmm. Give you social media. Go ahead. Vocally Tosh, give you social media links.
Hello.
Oh, yes. So you can follow me at Vocally Tosh. My website, natasharumbosmusic.com, and all social media links at Vocally Tosh. And I'm a Latin pop singer-songwriter, so you can definitely check out my music and more of like music videos and all that stuff right there.
Hey, Ron, give your David Ron, give you social media links.
Oh, I'm David Vonner. Everywhere you need, just type in my name, David Vonner. You'll find me. I don't need no alter egos or no aliases. You just type in my name, you can find me. But also, hey, buy some toys. Check out Nicole.com, www.nicole.com. Buy some RoboForce figures. And hey, just have fun, have culture, and enjoy.
Nicole Murphy, go ahead. Go for it. Social media links.
My social media link is at iBarterBlack on Instagram and Facebook. And we are also hosting a challenge for Black entrepreneurs on sales, networking, and bartering in June. LeverageYourSocialNetwork.com.
Rachel Roberts, give your social media link. That's
you can find Roberts recipes. I'm like, just Google that and it'll. But Vonner, you did it. You led the pack. Good job, Vonner.
Thank you.
Eddie, give your social media links.
Absolutely. Website is educationalgamestore.com. You can find me anywhere. Just put in the entrepreneur game, put in Elliott Eddie, and I will pop up for pages showing them all the different things that's going on and what we're doing and how we're providing value.
Joseph, give your social media links. Go ahead.
My website is www.divineprodigy.net, or you can follow me on Instagram at voiceover4hire.
Okay, who did I leave out? Did I leave out anybody? Let's see. We had so many people out. We had never done this one before, but I was happy with this. I liked it. So, anybody else?
Let me chime in mine real quick, Brian.
Go.
Before I chime mine in, I want to make a statement on behalf of Elliott Eddie. His is the first and only STEM authenticated board game in the world. So we need to give this brother his props for that. You can reach me at byhop.org, www.bihof.org. And you can also reach out to me on LinkedIn, where I do a short series called Wouldn't You Like to Know?
I love that. And I would like to know. And I got to thank everybody for coming on tonight because, one, important. Two, I have to say this. Have a good night tonight. A better day tomorrow.
Thank you, brother.
Because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More, and we will see you next week for part 2 of Big Black Inventors Game. See you next week.